personal standpoint, I look forward to working with him and trying to coordinate churches and clergy or bring faith to the fight of ending mass incarceration in our lifetime. It's a movement whose time has come. Professionally, most of us know he is a professor at Union Theological Seminary, that he's been a part of Princeton. I know he's a great leader and was one of the first to be arrested during protests in Ferguson, Missouri. I'm grateful. Let's give it up. That's a good time. Dr. West is a man who has stood the test of time. His books, his work. He is a music aficionado. We found that out earlier today at the boys' school, if there was any doubt. This brother, after almost or a little over a 2-hour layover coming into this city, it's hard to get flights in and out of here, y'all. But after such a layover, this brother had the energy and determination to go to the Dayton Boys Preparatory Academy. We visited 12, 14 classrooms. He insisted on hugging and loving on every individual student that he came across in that school. That's real love. The only problem that we had, Principal Lovelace, was he's so personable, we couldn't get him out of there because he wanted to hear every little boy's story. We went to lunch and there were students, male students, from Dunbar, from Thurgood Marshall. And not only did we enjoy lunch with them, but he actually facilitated a roundtable discussion with those young brothers to make sure that he left with something on their mind. That's a leader. One has wisely said, and it fits Dr. West, you cannot be a leader of the people unless you're a lover of the people. Dr. West will tell you he's not a leader, that he's a lover of the people. But I'm proud to stand before you personally and say, in the course of my life, I don't care what he say, I'm trying to follow his leadership. Following the next song selection, which was hand-chosen and picked for this moment, and just before our brother comes, Sister Woody is coming back, and she's going to sing a song that reminds me of my friend, my brother, this lover of our people, my brothers and sisters. I give you Dr. Cornel West.
and you finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. It's a long road when you face the road alone. No one reaches out a hand for you to hold. You can find love if you search within yourself, and the emptiness you felt will disappear. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can't survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. But Lord knows that dreams are hard to follow, but don't let anyone tear them away. Just hold on, 'cause there will be tomorrow, and in time you'll find your way. Then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. When you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. That a hero lies in you.
My God, my God. I come from a tradition that says that the Spirit will not descend without song. That for me, the greatest tradition in the modern world is the black musical tradition. It goes from spirituals to blues, to jazz, to rhythm and blues, and yes, even now hip-hop. See, I come from a tradition and a people where music and poetry are in no way ornamental or decorative. They are constitutive of who I am and who we are, no matter what color or culture. I want to thank my very dear Brother Jerome McCoy for those very kind words. You can tell he's my friend. No, I think he tends to over-exaggerate. Following W.H. Auden, I just try to love my crooked neighbor with my crooked heart. That's what my calling really is. I am who I am because somebody loved me. Somebody cared for me. Somebody attended to me. What I do, be it in New York City, be it in Sacramento, California, be it in Ferguson, St. Louis, be it in London, be it in Tokyo, or be it at Bethel Missionary Baptist Church in Dayton, Ohio. It comes down to the same fundamental end and aim
which is the answer, or wrestle with the answers to 4 questions that the great W.B. Du Bois raised in 1957 at the age of 89 years old after emerging out of a court in handcuffs, being condemned by his own government. The novel, The Ordeal of Mansard of 1957. He says, how does integrity face oppression? Didn't say cupidity. Didn't say insipidity. He didn't say timidity. He said integrity face oppression. The second question, what does honesty do in the face of deception? Didn't say mendacity. Didn't say criminality. He said honesty. Third question, what does decency do in the face of insult? Last but not least, how does virtue meet brute force? Integrity, honesty, decency, virtue in the face of what? Oppression, deception, insult, and brute force. I come from a people who have been terrorized and traumatized and stigmatized for 400 years. And the fundamental question is always, are you still involved in your fallible quest for integrity, honesty, decency, and virtue? And I am so blessed to be in this consecrated space.
Yes, sir.
122 years of service, blood, sweat, and tears of joys and sufferings in Bethel Missionary Baptist Church. Give it up for this space, this tradition, this service, this sacrifice. Sometimes falling on their faces, that's all right. Samuel Beckett is right. Sometimes we have to try again, fail again, and fail better.
Yes, sir.
All of us crack vessels. All of us two-legged, linguistically conscious creatures born between urine and feces. If it wasn't for the love push, it got us out, we wouldn't be here. The highest title I will ever receive is to be the second son of Irene and Clifton West. People say good words about me. Oh, if you knew my father died 20 years ago, I'll never be the man he was. Nor his grandfather, Reverend C.L. West, pastor for 47 years on the chocolate side of Tulsa, Oklahoma, Metropolitan Baptist Church. A tradition of what? Trying to live a life of integrity, honesty, and decency and virtue in the face of terror and trauma and stigma, and trying to serve somebody before we become the culinary delight of terrestrial world. Oh, that's what this church and this tradition is about. Oh, we've got our young brother Xavier Johnson. It just gives my heart tremendous joy to know there's still young sisters and brothers willing to have the audacity to be Christians in the 21st century. But Christian, I'm talking about the way of the cross, and by the cross I mean that which signifies unarmed truth and unapologetic love. And the condition of truth is always to allow suffering to speak. And that always cuts against the grain in America, because when it comes to vicious legacies of white supremacy especially, but also those of male supremacy, also those of imperial power, dropping bombs with drones on innocent people, also with those when it comes to homophobia, losing sight of our gay brothers and lesbian sisters, also when it comes to the power of capital over workers. America tends to live in a state of denial, which means you can't get at the truth. and stated denial. And then the unapologetic love. What I love about the black musical tradition, and it goes all the way from nobody knows the trouble I've seen, nobody knows but Jesus, nobody knows the trouble I've seen. What is that last line? Glory. Glory. Hallelujah. Doesn't logically follow it all. That's a leap of faith tied to a leap of joy. Yeah. Come on. It was 50 years ago, 3 days, that a genius walked into the studios in New Jersey. He put Elvin Jones on the drum, Jimmy Garrison on the bass, and had a near teenager from Philadelphia named McCoy Tanner on the piano. And he was the grandson of 2 ministers. Grew up in Jim Crow, Gut Bucket, North Carolina, and then Jim Crow Jr., Philadelphia. His name was John Coltrane. They created an album that one day that will live forever. It's called Love Supreme. Love Supreme. Almost echoing the Isley Brothers Caravan. Or the love train that the inimitable Curtis Mayfield sang about when he said, people get ready. You see, for black people, you've got to talk explicitly about love. And when you really love black people, and we don't have enough folk who really do, then you're burning with a hatred against injustice anytime they're treated wrongly, anytime they're treated unfairly. If you don't do something, the rocks are going to cry out. That's the love tradition I'm talking about. That's what this church at its best is about. When I met this brother here, Charles Brown, distinguished professor at Yale, he embraced me. Long tradition of folk embracing the younger generation. Leon Watts, James Melvin Washington, James Cone, yes, sir. James Forbes. These are love warriors, y'all. They're not celebrities, they're not entertainers, they're not professionals first. They love warriors, they have a calling, they want to live a life of integrity, honesty, and decency, a sense of virtue before they meet their end. That's the tradition that we want to pass on to our young folk, because you're right. Something is happening in America. Something's happening in the world. We are seeing the magnificent flowering and flourishing of young folk who've been sleepwalking for so long. They straightening their backs up. They saying, we willing to come together. We willing to live. We willing to die. That's something real. Reminds me, the brother used to play organ in my church every once in a while in Shiloh. He was known to us as Sylvester Stewart, but he's known to the world as Sly Stone. Yeah. He had a song called Stand. You've been sitting much too long. There's a permanent crease in your right and wrong. Stand. There's a midget standing tall and a giant beside him about to fall. Then he got theological. He said, stand. There's a cross for you to bear. Things to go through if you going anywhere. My goodness. When I see my dear brother, distinguished Professor Julian Bailey, I've known him now for almost 20 years. He was president of Howard University when I knew him. Wrote a dissertation at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, went to Central, now distinguished Professor Meilenberg, still strong, used to be new school, now he's quasi-new school. Give it up for Professor Bailey. Same tradition. This brother has edited the definitive book on Jay-Z. Jay-Z's a lyrical genius from Marcy Project. I'm blessed to spend time with him. I look him in the eye. Every time I see him, I have tears in my eyes. I say, my brother, you've become tremendously successful. You got money. I celebrate your success, but I come from a tradition that says, I want to know what you're faithful to. success. I'm not impressed with somebody being successful. I want to know what you're willing to, what cost you're willing to pay for the truth and the love that you have. Yeah. Say, oh, Brother West, you always raising those kind of crowds. That's right, I'm old school, brother. I'm old school. In the name of Nina Simone, in the name of Gil Scott Heron, in the name of Max Roach, I want to know how you use your tremendous genius. Don't become part of the market-driven culture of superficial spectacle. You just trot out folk, especially chocolate folk. And somehow this is the end and aim of all of our struggle and suffering, just to produce some successful Negroes at the top and don't focus on the precious ones in the basement. Even that, I don't believe that. I know that my other brother and sister who would bring me here every summer, year after year. I love them so. Oh, Brother Dale Ward. Yes, sir. Vanessa Ward. Oh, Lord. Precious memories, y'all. Samuel Proctor. Never forget. Jeremiah Wright, we taught in his basement at Trinity Baptist Church every summer. I tell the world that the week when he was involved in the controversy with Brother President, I said, I'll take a bullet for that brother, Jeremiah Wright. Yeah. Not because I agree with everything, but because I love him. Why you spend time with Minister Louis Farrakhan? I love the brother. With everything, he loved me too. I'm a free black man. I'm a Jesus-loving free black man. I love anybody I want to love. That's just the kind of blood I've been washed in. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The blood at the cross ain't Kool-Aid. Don't just dip in and keep moving. You get washed and become courageous enough to cut against the grain and know whatever you have to say is still cracked, still fallible. Why y'all always talking about white brothers and sisters? I love the white brothers and sisters. I don't love their whiteness. I love the image of God in them, and I love their humanity. Same is true with my precious indigenous brothers and sisters. They don't have to be in the room for us to be sensitive to that suffering. A nation built on genocide. Hear all these folk on television talking about America always been a nation of immigrants. That's a lie. Be America if it wasn't for the land stolen, the dispossession of the land, the violation of the people. I come from a love tradition that says, even if it makes you unpopular, I don't care. I try to live a life of integrity, honesty, decency, and a sense of virtue. Truth for brown, Latino brothers and sisters, Asian as well, Catholic, Jewish, Arab, and I'm going to say especially Muslims in America because they're being targeted now. I'm always with the least of these. The ones who are being excessively demonized. Yes, sir. And my God. Yes, sir. Our dear Sister Crawford. Like Mother Emmett Till. Like Sister Leslie McSpadden. Like Sister Nita Young. Yes, sir. Like Sister Colette McFlanagan in Dallas. We had a gathering in New York City 2 years ago of all of the mothers whose sons or daughters had been killed by the police. 3 long lines. Luckily. Like I preached in the church in Newark last year. The pastor introduced me by saying, Brother West, It's a little small church, but full of fire. It wasn't a mega church. These mega churches tend not to have mega love. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. I'm not in the numbers. I'm not in the quantity. I want to know what is the quality of your commitment to those who are suffering. But oh, this is a small church with a lot of fire in that church. He said, we've had 55 funerals last year. I said, brother, there's only 52 weeks in the year. Age between 14 and 27. It's not new. It's been going on for a long time. 1 year ago, this very moment, it was still the case that every 28 hours, some precious black or brown brother or sister was shot by the police or security guard. This is not new. What's new is the flowering and the flourishing of the awakening. That's what's new. That's magnificent. I find it sublime. And that's why it brought me to tears when I went to my dear brother principal, Horace Lovelace's institution. I'm going to say that. I'm going to get you in trouble, because as a leader, though, brother, I can see the tremendous love and respect that the brothers have for you. And it's true, your staff makes a difference. They're such a wonderful group of people. But your leadership, I met this brother 41 years ago at Princeton University. 41 years ago. We were listening to That's the Way. No, this is not, no, not that one. This is Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's the way of the word. Maurice, Chicago, brother. Listen to a little main ingredient. And that's significant.
Yes, it is.
Because there are no groups among the younger generation who can sing in harmony with a variety of voices, like the Dales and Dramatics and Delphonics and Enchantment and Whispers and main ingredients. I ain't even got the blue magic yet. That's significant. Because I come from a people that says lift every voice. Can't be a jazz woman or a blues man unless you find your voice. For the last 30 years, too many of us have taught our precious young people not to be voices, but to be echoes. Because to be successful in America means not raising your voice and telling the truth. It means being an echo and becoming well adjusted to injustice. And becoming part of a status quo. Just keep your voice on the down low and just echo everything around you. Become well adapted to indifference. Indifference is the one trait that makes the very angels weep. Great Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel used to say, indifference to evil is more evil than evil itself.
Yes, sir.
And what happens to a people hated and despised people as black folk in America. Not just enslaved and Jim Crow and Jane Crow. Of course, you read your textbooks, they just call it discrimination. That's called a deodorized discourse. I'm glad I'm in Dayton. This is the funk town. We're going to keep it funky. Yes, sir. Oh, this is the funk town. I knew that. Oh, how players enrich my life. So does Lakeside. So does Slade. So did Roger Troutman. Oh, this is the funk capital. We got geniuses like Bootsy just right down the road in Cincinnati. Oh, yes, but to keep it funky means what? To tell the truth, to be free enough in love and loving enough in freedom, to be courageous enough to say what is on your soul, regardless of what the consequences are. of 40 years. And that's what black folk taught the world. We might not be able to revolutionize your society. You will hate us, but we're going to teach you a whole lot about love. Yeah. Whole lot about love. And Matilda's mother, what did she say when she was standing at the lectern with her baby boy's body right there in that coffin? Robert Temple, Church of God in Christ on the west side of Chicago. What you going to say this deal to the world? Speak on behalf of not just the best of black people, not just the best of America. Speak on behalf of the best of the human spirit. She looked down and saw her precious baby, only child. What did she say? I don't have a minute to hate. I will pursue justice for the rest of my life. Oh, my God. How many people you know would be terrorized for 400 years and wouldn't create a black Al-Qaeda? Yes, sir. What is it about these Negroes, these black people? They've been shaped and molded by something so rich and profound, and in the face of hatred, they're going to teach the world how to love. Oh, tell my white brothers and sisters, when you see black folks, you ought to just give them a standing ovation. Thank you for Martin King. Thank you for A. Philip Randolph. Thank you for Ida B. Wells. Thank you for Fannie Lou Hamer. Thank you for Stevie Wonder. Thank you for Ashton and Simpson. Keep the love warriors. And don't live in a world of denial and keeping track of institutionalized and personal hatred. And the challenge is going to be for our younger generation. How do we transmit this great tradition in such a way that you remain full of fire? You have a righteous indignation, you have an old holy anger, you have a moral outrage, but it goes through love and justice rather than hatred and revenge. Oh, that's a tough question. That's a perennial question. I saw it at work in the academy. So much love there. Love of learning, love of reading, love of neighbor. As a Christian, I believe in loving enemies, but don't try that one on your own. Oh, you need a lot of grace for that. But I'm not naive. Not naive. The only reason why one loves one's enemy is when you choose the way of the cross, you're going to have so many enemies. You better ensure that they don't allow you to devour your soul. You need to keep your focus on something grander and bigger. Like the beloved community, the kingdom. Love of enemy doesn't mean loving your oppression. Doesn't mean deferring to white supremacists or male supremacist stereotypes. And it certainly doesn't mean being milquetoast and spineless. It means you loving your people so much that enemies are going to come at you, and even sometimes you look the enemies in the face and say, if all you can do is kill me. I come from a tradition that says, death, where is thy sting, grave? Where is that victory? Something is greater with you. They put it down, you can't suffocate it at all. It's going to keep flowing, just like that blood at that cross that kept flowing when they put to death. The Roman Empire put to death that Palestinian Jew as a political criminal. Oh yeah. And every once in a while, the wave sets in. Come on, Doc. That's right. The wave sets in, especially among black folk, because we've been dealing with niggerization for a long time. I was just blessed just last week to be at Oxford University. We had the 50th anniversary of one of the greatest freedom fighters of all time, our dear brother Malcolm X. He spoke there December 3rd, 1964. He brought his sister Angela Davis and myself to be in that same space just last week. Just last week. And what I love about Malcolm is that he specialized in deniggerizing. Because when you niggerize the people, what you do is you try to convince them they're less beautiful, they're less moral, they're less intelligent. Then you keep them so scared and intimidated and afraid that they're walking around with their back humped over, and they're laughing when it ain't funny, and they're scratching when it don't itch, and they're wearing the mask just in order to gain access to the mainstream. They can't be their full selves. Maybe they think they can be their full selves on Sunday morning, but they end up bringing that niggerization element even in the church. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! That's what I love about Marcus Garvey. What Marcus Garvey do? Every rally at the Garvey rally always had a black man or woman with a sign that said what? The Negro is not afraid. Sometimes they would shake it. The Negro is not afraid. But you got to break the fear. That's what's happening in Ferguson and Staten Island and other places. The young folks have broken the fear. You're not afraid. Oh, that's magnificent. And the powers that be, they shaking their boots. Maybe the Crips and the Bloods come together now.
Come on.
Maybe the revolutionary Muslims and the revolutionary Christians and the revolutionary Jews and the revolutionary agnostics come together now. Why? Because they're not afraid. But the challenge has been, especially in the last 30 years, we've seen an increasing niggerization of the black middle and professional class. This thing is dialectically complicated. Because on the one hand, we've had unprecedented opportunity. We got black folk in high places that my grandmama never even imagined. Corporate America, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, White House, Supreme Court. And keep in mind, now, I'm not against folk ascending to high places. But the question is exactly, my sister, if that's what it takes to pacify you, if that's what it takes to coarsen your conscience, if that's what it takes to harden your heart, if that's what it takes to tie you into hedonistic and narcissistic ways of life where you think the whole world is just about you and you think your individual success somehow is the measure of people as a whole, then you are a highly niggerized profession. Why? Because you're still scared. You're still afraid. You don't want to tell the truth. You got to steal away at night and tell the truth about the job. You don't want to tell the truth about the corporate media and all of the lies and crimes that they conceal. You don't want to be confronted by the innocent folk being killed by drones over 300 children. You don't want to tell the truth about working people being pushed against the wall. You don't want to hear the truth about poor people being socially neglected and economically abandoned for 40 years. You don't want to hear the truth about the Wall Street executives who engage in massive criminality and not one has gone to jail. You don't want to hear the truth about the domestic violence and the brothers with insecure egos got to come home and take it out on the women as if somehow they think that Superman is some kind of downright thuggishness. Oh, then you're not going to be true to the music, y'all. Nina Simone said, Mississippi, goddamn. She said to be young, gifted and black. Yeah. Blackbird, Blackbird. Nina. She's free, she's telling the truth. Yeah. With all this red robe respect, the reefer took it, made it home. He was telling the truth. Yeah. Oh, Brother Sam Cooke said someday. Change will come. You got to be true to the music. It's in the music that we have our freedom, the height of our love. And you transmit that vision and courage to our younger generation, but it's also tied to something we often downplay. There's a wonderful essay, one of the greatest essayists in the English language. He never went to college, but 2 colleges went through him. The son of Harlem, his name was James Baldwin. 1972 in Esquire magazine, he was writing about Malcolm X. He said Malcolm X was the gentlest man he ever met. His extraordinary gentleness. Compare that to the mainstream characterization of our dear brother Malcolm. Hater. We come from people who are fundamentally committed to militant tenderness at our best. Militant tenderness. Oh, they say try a little tenderness. Babyface say Roni is a tender Roni. A subversive sweetness. Soul music is a music that is a sharing of a soothing sweetness against the catastrophe of slavery, Jim Crow, prison industrial complex, worker exploitation. Sweetness. Look at the voice of a David Ruffin from Wynot, Mississippi. And you see how sweet it is. Why? Because it's empowering. And one of the forms of war against our young people, in addition to the police who kill with no accountability at all. That's explicit. But the subtle form is to make it difficult for our precious young folk to have access to a culture and music of tenderness and sweetness. That's why it's hard for them to have a Delphonics. The same oligarchic companies control recording, radio, video, and live performance.
Yes.
They don't want black tenderness and black sweetness, because that's empowering. They won't say my name, say my name, say my name. It ain't nothing but a way of concealing a male insecure ego out for domination and missing out on the joy and think they're getting pleasure. Oh, keep these young folk in a joyless quest for pleasure. That's insatiable. You'll never get enough of pleasure. It's fleeting all the time. Every weekend, try twice a day, 3 times a day. Connect yourself to an orgasm machine and just have orgasm for the rest of your life and think if you have any joy at all. You need to stop and have some conversations. That is predatory capitalism. Change our young folk into just a bundle of desire to titillate and stimulate so they don't have time to think, they don't have time to touch, they don't have time to relate, they just want the next pleasure and the next pleasure and the next pleasure. You can't have a people. You can't have a movement, you can't have struggle with that kind of marching culture. It's not just black folks, it's everybody. Why? Because everybody's for sale. Everything is for sale. Black leaders
For sale. Say that.
Not all of them. Too many. How in the world are you going to have 28 hours pass, 10 years, and there'd be no federal prosecution of one policeman?
One police.
For killing. How you going to have it with a black president?
Come on now.
And a black attorney general?
Come on now.
And a black secretary of Homeland Security?
Speak to it.
I said, oh, Brother West, you hating on Obama. No, I love that, brother.
Come on.
Let somebody mess with him in the name of white supremacy. I'm a Christian, but not a pacifist.
Come on. Yes.
I hate white supremacy. he chooses Wall Street over Main Street, I got to critique.
Yes, sir.
If he uses massive surveillance rather than rights and liberties, I got to critique. If he puts my sister Senator Shakur on the FBI list and $1 million on my head, I got to critique. I don't care what color he is. I'm a Christian. There ain't no plaything. Well, if you bring the critique, Fox News gonna come on it. If he breathes, Fox News is gonna come on it. If he's a Muslim, that's a lie. Am I right, my brother? He's not a Muslim. Is he a socialist? H-E-L-L, no. Is he a demon? H-E-L-L, no. Human being like anybody else with precious daughters and a brilliant wife. But he has to be accountable just like anybody else.
That's right. That's right.
And our young folk picking up on that. Oh, when I was there just learning and listening from these visionary folk, I'm talking about Ashley Yates, Temple, Alexis Templeton. Oh, make you tired. We can go on and on. Oh, I call the roll of those precious young folk. They're standing right on the front line. Hundreds of them were arrested before I was. I was just one quick little slice from old school, and I told them I'm there for one reason. I don't come here to give no speech. I came here to go to jail. And I want them to know that there's a whole wave of old school folk who love you because we were loved when we were young by the older generation too. And I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for that love. I'm going to do the same thing for the young folk that the folk did for me. Church, Reverend Willie P. Cook.
Yeah.
Prison fund was larger than his building fund. How many churches meet that criteria? He worked on the building himself, wasn't even alive. An anniversary. I believe pastors ought to have anniversaries. He was just extreme. He was an extremist of love. Over redone his whole life. Just gave his eulogy a year and a half ago. I'll never be the man Reverend Willie P. Cook was. Never. I'm working on it. I like to aspire to it. But he came out of gut bucket Jim Crow, Mississippi. He came out of realities I know not of. But he held up with integrity, honesty, and decency, and his sense of virtue. Those are the ones we need to hold up now with the new wave. You see, don't get caught up in the corporate media dishing out of certain popular ones. Keep track of those who, in the long run, have sometimes been radically unpopular, have been cutting against the grain, and usually have not been visible at all.
Yes.
That rules me out too. They caught me on television all the time. I try to tell the truth, always with a little sense of humor, but that's just who I am. I got some Richard Pryor in me. I can't help it. But the crucial thing is, the test is in the heat of struggle. Who holds on to integrity, honesty, decency, and virtue? And that's for the younger generation, middle generation, and older generation. And the broader challenge is going to be to connect arbitrary police power, which is tied to American terrorism for 400 years. And that's very important to keep in mind. Because there were a whole lot of fellow citizens. 9/11 was wondering, oh my God, I never felt unsafe, unprotected, subject to random violence, and hated for who I am. And I said, you don't say. To be black in America for 400 years, unsafe, unprotected, subject to random violence, and hated for who you are. We've been on intimate terms with terror and trauma. Now that the nation has the blues, you either learn something for a blues nation, or you become an imperial power that has sucked all the democratic energies out of your experiment. And that's where we're headed. You don't have the counter voices, because we live in a neoliberal capitalism. And by neoliberal, I mean three tendencies. Any problem you financialize, privatize, and militarize. That's why 1% of the population has 43% of the wealth, and 22% of all of our precious children of all colors, each one equally precious, living in poverty in the richest nation in the history of the world. That's a moral disgrace. A moral disgrace. The last 4 years, the top 1% got 99% of all the income growth at the very moment in which they say we don't have a penny for schools of quality. Don't have a penny for the collapsing bridges and infrastructure. Don't have a penny for jobs with a living wage. For quality, massive employment. Because the statistics that they trot out every month don't even begin to get at the suffering. Those who've given up going to work, working part-time, those who are underemployed. Look at the wave of workers vis-a-vis Walmart and McDonald's and others, some of the richest companies in the history of the world paying poverty wages. And all they got to do is just trot out some entertainers of any color to hide and conceal it. Financialize and then privatize. Philadelphia shut down 50 public schools in the last year and a half. New York, we got 53. Some of us put our bodies on the line in Waterloo and all. You're going to have to drive the tractors over the bodies before you shut this school down. Privatize. As if our public life, already weak, can sustain this fragile, quasi-democratic experiment now, given the rule of oligarchs and plutocrats. And then militarize. We see it in the schools in New York City, not in the academy that Brother Lovelace runs. Every day, the kids show up to school just like when I go to the airport early in the morning. Got to go through security. And then as Diane Rabbit says, rich kids get taught, poor kids get tested. Myself and others for the last 15 years and learning through the arts programs to make sure that some of our precious children have access to the arts, because it eliminates the arts programs. So nothing to pique their imagination, nothing to allow them to conceive of an alternative world. Can you imagine black people and black children, any children, especially black children, not having access to the arts? We wonder why they can't play the instrument. Yes, that's why Lakeside and Ohio Players and Charles Wright and Watch 103rd Street Rhythm Band and James Brown and the others are sampled, because they can't play the instrument. They don't have access to the instrument. They can't learn how to blow the instrument. And oftentimes it means they don't get a chance to learn how to sing. But in America, you can make $1 million and still sing out of two. Sarah Vaughan turns over in the grave, so does Carmen McRae, so does Nat King Cole, so does Johnny Hartman. We ain't got to Donny Hathaway yet. That's the tradition of getting it right. Stay in the right key. Somebody's soul is predicated on you getting that note right. This ain't no plaything. I used to go to the concerts of James Brown. The brother would perform for 4 hours. He would always say, an extension of attention immediately. Anybody comes here to hear a song that we miss, but you didn't play Soul Power. Hit it, Bootsy. He's a servant of the people. Y'all see my point? So many concerts these days, all folks just show up, they figure that's the event. No, sing, Negro. People come in turning flips and then all this, tearing on up, just grab the microphone and sing like a reef. Need all that mess. I don't need my body stimulated, I need my soul stirred. We come from the stone stirred. Sam Cooke and Johnny Taylor, Lou Rawls, they stirred our soul. You can't be a freedom fighter if you ain't got no soul stirring. That little thin stuff's not going to allow you to be a long distance runner for freedom. Oh, that's part of the war against our precious young people. Thank God there's churches like this one, like Omega. Like so many of you all, because of course you all so many ways constitute the glue that's holding this together. And it only takes the critical minority. When we talk about mass movement, you're never talking about the majority of people. Never. Montgomery, 18 churches out of 87. When we got a mass movement, no, you got a critical mass. And the folk who's scared and lukewarm start hanging out with you and get a little courage. Now I'm in Bethel Church. There's a Bethel Baptist Church in Monroe, Louisiana. The pastor was named Walter Newton. That's the father of Huey Newton, the founder of the Black Panther Party. Huey Newton was a PK, he was the preacher's kid. And Reverend Walter Newton was the baddest Negro in Monroe. Police mess with everybody other than Walter. Where do you think Huey got that from? Huey just been secular. No, Dad, the church has failed me. That God talk is too vague. And these Christians claim that they're washed in the blood, but they look like they scared like everybody else.
Say that.
And as the pastors begin to act more and more like CEOs rather than servants, some of us believe that Jesus deniggerized it. Oh, we know who Henry McNeil Turner was.
Yes, we did.
Marcus Garvey was a Christian.
Yes, he was.
Malcolm X's father was a pastor. So was Huey Newton. So was Maulana Karenga's father, Reverend Everett. Preacher's key. Where you learn that kind of freedom, even if you give up what the church is teaching. Paul said he had to leave the church in order to spread the gospel. That's what James Baldwin said. So when you read his essay Down at the Cross, he's talking oftentimes more about love than a whole host of Christian thinkers. And he knew that justice is what love looks like in public. But he also knew that any justice that's only justice soon degenerates into something less than justice. Justice is rescued only by something greater and grander than justice, and that's love. That's our white vanilla brother Reinhold Niebuhr in 1932, All Man and Moral Society. He's absolutely right. They go hand in hand. And we're here to say at this moment, in connection alongside our young folk, we deeply love, and when you love, what do? You respect, you protect, and you correct.
Yes.
The young folk love us. I told the young folk, I want you to correct, respect, and if I'm really in deep trouble, protect. That's what's magnificent about this moment. That is what is so grand about the coming together in Dayton And that's a major reason why I have such a smile on my face and being part of this magnificent gathering. God bless you.